Hey everyone, I'm Sarah Stackhouse with Real News Communications Network, and I'm here with Leigh Richardson of the Brain Performance Center. Leigh, how are you today?
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
I am doing well, but I have quite a problem. I'm addicted to my phone, I think, like many people, and today we are talking screen time, so this is kind of a perfect segue for me to get some help.
Well, I don't think you're alone with that addiction. And you know, the world of addiction has really changed. When we think about it, we used to think about alcohol and drugs, and that's not really what addiction's about anymore. It's about pleasurable activities. Whether it's your phone, your social media, your Facebook, playing video games, online gambling, sex. I mean, everything that produces pleasure impacts the brain.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like before I go to sleep, I look at my phone. Before when I wake up, I pop open my phone and I look at emails or, social media or whatever it is. Why do you think this is so, screen time in general is such a big deal?
Well, I think because we enjoy it, and it's so much a part of our life. If you're an information junkie, oh my gosh, you can just learn anything about anything in the world if you just pick up that phone. But what happens is once you're doing something and you're enjoying it, the brain starts to release a neurotransmitter, dopamine. And dopamine is a real feel good. It feels good. And those little nerve cells can get confused with repeated exposure or real intense exposure. Those nerve cells, wait a minute, I like this. I like this. Oh, I want this. I want this. Oh, I need this. I need to do this. I need to play that game more. Don't try and take that away from me. Don't ask me to put my phone down. So it's actually going on in the brain. Yeah. And it's something that what we have learned about addiction is that it does change the structure and the function of the brain. Wow. And when you think about the big thing now is teenagers and social media, well, that brain is so underdeveloped. The frontal lobes aren't fully developed until you're in your mid to late 20s. So they're already so vulnerable just because of where they are on the developmental cycle.
Right. Well, so if you're a parent, I guess let's see about this in certain circumstances. First, if you're a parent and you have that child who does not want to put that game down, does not want to close that computer, does not want to turn Netflix off, what are some ways that you can implement better behavior or less screen time in general?
Well, I think what you have to do first is really understand what's going on. Look for some warning signs. So when you try to get your child to put down that phone or turn off that computer, does it almost have like a drug-like withdrawal? Can you see them just pull back, into themselves? And when you ask them to do that, do they go and they socially isolate? Because, isolation increases depression. Wow. And if you take that phone away from them, are they worried? Are they worried about when they're going to get it back? And worry and anxiety, they go hand in hand. So I think, understanding how dependent that your child is on that technology is the first step. And then if you see some red flags and you go, okay, I need to wheel this in, start looking for the signs of addiction. And the signs of addiction is almost like that obsessive OCD behavior. You just get obsessive about that phone. And that phone, that's where you get your self-confidence. That's where your self-esteem comes from. Oh my gosh, I just put a picture of my new dress up there. Nobody liked it. No, does that mean I shouldn't wear it back to school the first day? So look for that OCD behavior. Okay. Another thing I encourage parents to look at is weight changes. Because a lot of times, you can get up in that room and you can be playing that video game for so long. Dinner? I'm not coming down for dinner. And so they can lose weight, or they're up there playing that video game and maybe for dinner they're having potato chips and cookies and whatever's portable, easy to take up. That could be a weight change in the opposite direction. Right. So look for those changes and look at their sleep. Are they sleep deprived? Something like 61% of teenagers report being sleep deprived. Wow. And that it has a negative impact on their schoolwork. And with school starting up pretty soon, it's going to be hard enough to make a shift. Yeah. Because a lot of kids have been playing video games or looking at Facebook or Instagram or Pinterest for probably more than 3 hours a day. And when school starts up, maybe it's going to have to shift down to 30 minutes a day or an hour.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a huge struggle for a lot of families.
So how should a parent go about starting that conversation with their child, whether it's a teen, a young child, or even, if they're getting ready to send their kid back to college and they don't have any control over what their child looks at?
Well, I think it starts with, creating awareness, because a lot of times we don't realize how much time we're spending on something. And it start off with, gee, do you know how much data you use every month on the phone plan? No. And do you know data costs money? And gee, would you rather spend some of that money on something else?
Yeah, that's a great way.
Creating awareness, and then also apply some parental controls. That with Apple's done a great job with the new phones. It's got some controls already built in. And every phone you can put some level of control on.
Yeah.
Some of them you can turn them off at a certain time. But better than having the phone turn off automatically is help them understand that they need to live a life without that technology.
Sure.
And that to do that, we need a little digital detox.
Yes.
And it starts with tech timeouts. And we're going to start from now on. When we have dinner, we're all going to put our phone in the basket on the kitchen counter. And we're not picking that phone up until we've had our dinner, done our homework, done what we need to do. And then if you need to check it before you go to bed, then you check it. But you put that charger out of the bedroom, because 77% of teenagers have reported that they text and they Twitter while they're in bed.
Yep. I Instagram in bed. I Facebook, I email check, I text, Speaking of digital detox, how can I, or, anyone else like me who's working from their phone a lot or just on their phone a lot, how can we start to digital detox without feeling like we're missing something or missing a text or an email or something that you feel like might be vital?
But you are missing something when you're on that phone, because that phone takes us away from the present. And there's a guy at Harvard that studied mindfulness, and he says 80% of us, 8 out of 10 of us, spend some time every day either lost in the past or worried about the future. And if we can, to be mindful means nothing more than to stay present. And that phone takes us out of the present moment.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's a reality escape.
Right.
Oh, I can't deal with that right now. Where's my phone? Let me just go look at Pinterest.
Right.
Because
go pin some happy things.
Yeah, because it does make us happy. But I think we have to stop and ask ourselves, we're disassociating with the world we live in. And instead of texting somebody, go in the next room. Talk to your husband and hey, turn that TV off. I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
And does it take effort? Yeah. But is it worth it to be able to learn to live without all that technical, heavy stuff? I think it is.
Absolutely. I noticed myself the other day, I was hanging out with my dogs outside. We were just playing, and I went back inside. I stopped playing, went back inside, grabbed my phone to take a video of them. And I realized what I was doing halfway walking inside, and I was like, you know what? I don't need to video this. But it's stuff like that you just get sucked into.
Well, because it's so easy, and there's so much goodness about what technology does for us today. But when it manages you and you don't manage it, it's a problem.
That's powerful. Let that sink in for a second. Well, is there anything else you really want people to know? And I have, of course, the Brain Performance Center tagged up at top, so if people have questions, they can go there. But is there anything else you really want people to take away from this screen time chat just in general?
Absolutely. And this is, the hardest thing to do is to be a good role model. And for families, the change starts with a role model. And that means it probably has to start with mom and dad. So stop and just think about that, and think about, can you limit the time you're on the phone when you're with your kids? I've actually had kids complain to me that, well, my mom and dad, they're on the phone all the time. And I said, well, why don't you tell them that you ask them to get off the phone?
Yeah.
Well, they won't like it. Well, do you want me to help you ask them that? And they're like, yeah. So stop and think about that. You need a good, positive role model.
That's great advice. And if people have more questions, maybe they didn't want to ask on this thread here, where can they contact you?
They can give us a call at the office, and they can schedule a complimentary 30-minute consultation at 817-500-4863, or they can go to the website, thebrainperformancecenter.com, and there's a form where they can send in a question that way. And either way, we'll get back to you.
Wonderful. All right. Well, you can, of course, rewatch this video if you missed some portion of it. We're going to have it as in general video. It's going to live on the Facebook and then also on her YouTube page as well. So, yeah.
And one last word, there's an internet site. It's called internetmatters.org. And there's some real good, it's a good resource for parents that are looking for different ways to kind of understand and be cooperative, but at the same time put some structure in place.
I really love this conversation. I needed this conversation.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.